Inspiration.com.
In 2018, I sat down and I made a list of the movies coming out in the next 2 years that I felt would complete my DVD collection. Avengers Endgame, The Rise of Skywalker, Bill and Ted Face the Music. Movies that completed franchises. But there was one movie that was on the list that was a long shot. I didn't know if it would even come out on Blu-ray, but I felt like it did offer me this sense of closure on not a franchise, but on a particular genre. That movie was Martin Scorsese's The Irishman, which was released through the Criterion Collection back in November. Now, why buy a movie that you could watch through your Netflix subscription? Why, I could watch it anytime I want by just turning on Netflix. Why would I buy the disc? This was a very special exception to me. The Irishman was a movie I first heard about in 2006, and it instantly shot to the top of my list as far as movies that I wanted to see. I love the gangster genre. This is the gangster genre director, Martin Scorsese, reuniting with De Niro for the first time since Casino, directing Pacino for the first time ever, bringing Joe Pesci out of retirement, throw Harvey Keitel on top of it, you've got the premier gangsters from the 1970s. This new, you had the 1930s gangster movies, James Cagney and Humphrey Bogart, and then it sort of went away, and then in the 70s it came back, and these guys are the ones that brought it back. Scorsese waited years for the technology to de-age the actors to get to the point where he felt that it was something that was viable for him to use. And that ballooned the budget of the movie. I think it ended up being $167 million, and no studio wanted to do it. Imagine that. Imagine, like, our greatest living director, arguably, coming and saying, I want to make a movie in the genre I'm known best for, starring these great actors who are best known for being in that genre. And the studios all went, no. Do you have a superhero movie we can use? Luckily, Netflix came along, and this is why I defend streaming over theatrical movies a lot of the time. Because Netflix will release, Extraction with Chris Hemsworth, or that Michael Bay movie that they released. Big potential blockbuster movies. They'll release those movies, but they'll also take chances that studios won't on movies like Roma and Marriage Story and The Irishman. They wrote Scorsese a blank check and said, go make the movie you want to make. That, in this day and age, is something that we sorely need. We need people who are willing to invest in these dramatic films. The movie is about the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino. And that is a subject that has fascinated me since I was a teenager. And I actually was a Teamster for a while. I worked at UPS. And so the fact that they were making this movie about this subject really sort of even more so made me excited. De Niro plays Frank Sheeran, who claims to be the one who actually assassinated Jimmy Hoffa. And the movie is really about him and his being pulled back and forth between loyalties to Jimmy Hoffa and this mobster played by Joe Pesci. And it's a wonderful movie. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. There's a few things that keep it from being a perfect movie. First is it's too long. Now, I do applaud Netflix for, Scorsese coming in and saying, this is my 3.5 hour cut. And they went, okay. Warner Brothers would have said, nope, cut an hour out of that movie, and so that we could release it in theaters and have turnaround. We got to get new people coming in with their popcorn and their soda. Netflix said, whatever you want. Yeah, that's fine. And in this case, I mean, it could have been trimmed down. It's a hard movie. You got to set a day aside to watch this movie. And then there are the effects, the de-aging effects, which are good. I always think they're good. Even back in Tron Legacy or X-Men The Last Stand, yeah, they were in their infancy and it was a little bit, they looked very plastic. But I was still very impressed by those effects. I still am very impressed by those effects. They just keep getting better and better. But here, there are people who do those deepfake videos on YouTube, and they've taken a swipe at the effects for The Irishman, and they make them better, which is, De Niro looks young in the movie, but he doesn't look like young De Niro. And we all know what young De Niro looked like. So, the fact that he's heavier. De Niro back in the day was much thinner. He's a skinny kid back in the 70s. If you look at like Mean Streets, A Taxi Driver. And the effects don't work as well. And there are parts too where you can really tell, even though he may look like he's 42, he's moving like he's 78. There's a part where he is just kicking the shit out of somebody, and he's moving so stiff. I don't know why Scorsese in parts like that didn't just say, all right, Bob, let's bring in the stunt double. We're going to digitally put your face onto him. As long as they were using that technology anyway, they might as well have done that for scenes like that. But that's really, quibbling over like these things that aren't that important, effects. People who say, well, the effects were cheap, I don't like the movie because of that. You're missing the point. The movie's not about the effects. It's not a Transformers movie. The movie is about the story, and the story to me was very compelling. This is a smaller mob movie about small men, being a part of big events, but then they go home to their modest homes. They're not living in mansions. This isn't Scarface. These are sort of blue collar criminals, and that's the kind of movie they wouldn't make anymore. If you're going to make a gangster movie now and have it be released in the theater, it's going to be a flashy, action-packed movie. This is not that. It is slower paced. You gotta really invest in this movie, and I highly recommend that you do, because this is probably the last time we're getting a gangster movie from Scorsese. It's probably the last time we're getting these guys in the gangster genre. It's probably the only time that we're going to get them all working together. This is a special movie. This is an Avengers level movie in that way. I'm going to give The Irishman 4 out of 5 stars. Not a perfect movie, but an ambitious movie. And that's what we need now. We need ambitious movies. We need movies that are going to tell a story and that they're going to go big with it. And Netflix, luckily, will do that. So, bravo to Netflix. Would I have liked to have seen this on a big screen? Yes, but I guarantee you there would have been at least one, if not two, bathroom breaks where I'm running out the door to get, down the hall to the bathroom and missing things. Here, I paused the movie, got up, went to the bathroom, got a snack, came back, sat down, and enjoyed it. And if you don't want to buy the actual physical disc, but you have a Netflix subscription, I highly recommend you go watch The Irishman. Again, 4 stars, great American movie.
Other worlds.
Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,